Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to What's the 504. I am your host, Christy B. If you are new to the channel, welcome to my channel. And if you are returning, welcome back, you guys. So, today we are going to discuss a situation that turned out, I guess, on a positive note. So, I know lately we have been discussing Orrin and Orson West because they are two beautiful angels that went missing on December 21st, and we are still praying for their safe return, okay? But today I'm going to report about another situation that occurred, and this was a situation that occurred in Greece, New York, okay, where two foster kids who were siblings were abducted from their foster home. Yes, you heard that correctly, okay? So, Dimigtri Jr., 5 years old, and Shakeria, 3 years old, they're brother and sister. They were at their foster care home where they were being cared for by their foster parent, which is the foster mom. Apparently, there were a total of 7 kids in this home. That's a lot of kids. I don't know how she's doing it. I hope she had some help or husband or whatever there to help her because that's a lot of kids. Okay? So apparently, they were at home. The foster mom, she heard a loud noise. Next thing she knows is these two big 6 foot tall guys wearing ski masks, and they came in, broke in through the window. Okay, and apparently she was screaming, of course, like anyone would do in that situation if they're just minding their business in their home. And apparently this was a 2-story home. So she was at home, heard this loud noise. Next thing she know, there's 2 big guys up in there with ski masks on. So the news channel originally reported that they were duct taped. So when she screamed, okay, 2 of the kids came down the stairs because they heard her screaming. Okay, so then the 2 guys that broke in, I guess the assailants, we'll call them, they proceeded to duct tape them all together, and they put duct tape on the foster mom's mouth to stop her from screaming. Okay, they then proceeded to forcibly kidnap these 2 little kids, okay, 5 years old and 3 years old. Mind you, they are siblings, they are brother and sister. So we got to be thankful that they were actually in the same households, because a lot of times in foster care, if there are multiple siblings, they don't always get to go to the same household. So we have to say that's a positive on that. Okay, so they forcibly removed these kids from this home and proceeded to go on the run. Okay, then apparently we still haven't found out who those 2 assailants were. So here's the backstory on this. January of 2020, the biological father of these kids had attempted or had charges pending for kidnapping the son, which is the 5-year-old Dimigtri Jr., from school. Okay, they didn't really discuss how he, got returned or whatever, but we just know that was some prior charges. That was January of last year. Okay, so now January of this year, fast forward, we have this, a situation occurred, right? So, of course, they wanted to speak with the father. They didn't know where he was at the time that all this incident occurred, and the kids were thought to be in imminent danger. And the police worked really hard. They had a lot of help with this. And fortunately, they were foolish enough to rent a vehicle. And this is how the cops were able to track and find these beautiful kids, okay? They were able to track. So this occurred in Greece, New York, okay? And this is in a suburb of Rochester, New York. They took these children from that home and apparently rented a vehicle and drove these kids across over 1,000 miles to Alabama. They say the kids were found in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, how traumatic must this have been for everybody involved? The poor kids that got tied up or taped up. The foster care mom, I'm sure that scared the living daylights out of her. She didn't know what was going to happen. Okay. And the 2 kids themselves abducted, just being forcefully taken from the house. All of the trauma. This is just insane. Okay. So now let's fast forward. Okay. They were looking for the biological father because they wanted to question him about what occurred. They ended up catching, or like I said, they rented a vehicle, right? They were able to trace that vehicle all the way up to Alabama. So when the cops found out where the vehicle was, they went ahead and, scoped the house out, and they were watching. So a young lady was leaving the house, and they actually pulled her over. And lo and behold, those beautiful angels were in the back, on the floor of the car, in the back seat, on the floor, covered under a blanket. Thank God these two angels were found pretty swiftly. So the abduction apparently occurred on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, and they found the kids by Wednesday. So literally within like 48 hours, these kids were found. And I have to say bravo, because that was fast, and that is good police work. Okay, so that is a positive note. These two siblings were found safe and sound, and they will be returned to their foster care home. Okay, so the lady that was involved, it was not specified if she is the biological mother. I can only assume that she's not, because the way the story is reported and her name is different as well, that she was obviously just the girlfriend or the friend of the biological father, which his name is Dimigtri Sr. Okay, so they caught her on, I want to say Wednesday, Wednesday was when they caught her, because that's when they got the girls. But they still needed to talk to the biological father. So they finally caught him and arrested him, of course, because like, who else would go through all of this for these two kids? I mean, wouldn't it be just very suspicious that, the biological father had charges for taking the one of the kids from school just a year ago in January, and then lo and behold, a year later, you have two random big guys just breaking and take just those two kids. So, it's kind of obvious, like, okay, what other reason would they have to just take just these two kids? There's 7 kids in the house, right? And they just want these two, knowing that they're brother and sister. So, of course, he was like, it was just like suspicious that it was probably him, and he has been arrested. So I'm going to read you the news article, and I will also link it in the description below if you want to actually, read the article yourself. Okay, you guys. So it says, father arrested in abduction of 2 kids from New York foster home. Police say the father of 2 children who were forcibly taken from their Western New York foster home has been arrested in the kidnapping. Okay. So it says the kids were taken from their foster care home in Western New York and later found in Alabama. And the lady has been arrested. Okay, I'm sorry. The father has been arrested in kidnapping, police announced. The Democrat and Chronicle of Rochester reports that Dimigtri Sr. was arrested Saturday on charges of second-degree kidnapping, first-degree burglary, and second-degree robbery in the abduction Monday of his children, Dimigtri Jr., 5 years old, and Shakeria, 3, from their home in Rochester suburb of Greece. The brother and sister were taken from their foster home after 2 men wearing ski masks broke through a window and tied up a woman and 2 other children, Greece police said. The children were located Wednesday after authorities tracked a rental car to Montgomery, Alabama, and found them on the floor of the back seat under a blanket. Cash Sr., 29, is being held in the Monroe County Jail on $100,000 cash bail or $300,000 bond. Police said Camara Pluvios, I think I'm saying that right, 32, who was driving the car the children were found in, has also been arrested and is being held in Alabama. It's not clear if Cash or Pluvios has an attorney who can speak for them. So my question is, why all of this energy to try to get these kids back now? Who originally had custody of the children? Was it the biological mom, or was it the father that had custody of them? Like, who had original custody of the children before they went to foster care, and what was the reason that the children were placed into foster care? That's one of my main questions, because that hasn't been clarified. The second thing is, where is the biological mom? Like, during this time frame that the kids were kidnapped or whatnot, I haven't seen any reports about the biological mom stepping up or saying, where are my kids, or we're concerned or whatnot. So I am curious to know if the mother is involved on any level, or did she originally have custody or anything of that nature. And third, I'm trying to contemplate what was the biological father's plan? Like, once you got the kids, then what was the plan? Like, what could you possibly do? You're going to be on the run. They're going to have, people looking for you. These are not one child, but two children. And their age as well, 5 and 3 years old. So I don't really understand, like, what the end game was. Now, it was alleged that the biological father, or family member of the biological father, has a GoFundMe page and is alleging that his kids were being neglected or some form of fashion in the foster home. And apparently that's what the GoFundMe page is for. That's what they're raising money for. But I don't understand, like, why go through all of this trouble to kidnap them, and now you have more charges. So I can say from a parental point of view, if you did think that your children were in danger, this was not the best way to go about it. Okay, that's how you get an attorney, something of that nature, a legal way of trying to handle the matter. I know sometimes that doesn't always pan out, or whatever, but going through the trouble of kidnapping them and having somebody break in that's another thing. Like, you put a whole bunch of other people in danger. A lot of other people are in danger, and now these other children are traumatized too. They all had to experience and witness that. Like, that's really scary. My other thing is, how did he know what school they were going to and where their foster care home was? That stuff is supposed to be kept confidential. So apparently, somehow he got this information. How did he know where to show up to the school at? And how did he know where the house was? And it's still scary because if the foster mom, go ahead and brings them back in the household, how does she know that something like this won't happen again? Like, that's pretty scary. That is very scary. Like, she didn't, in that moment, she didn't know what was going to happen or how far things were going to go or what their reason was for being there. So that's just, like, really scary. So if she they've already tried to kidnap, they've already have charges for taking the boy from school. Now they've broken in and forcefully taking the kids at her home that she's, taking care of the foster children that she has. And they didn't specify if all of the kids there are foster kids or if some are biological or what. But the point of the matter is there was 7 children living in this home. So that's still just scary, because if they are returned to the same foster parent, how does she know that they won't try this again? It's just, I don't know. It's just really scary. Like, I think, they'll have to really assess, like, is it safe to put them back in the same house knowing that he knows where they are, and he knows what school they go to. It's just, it's really messed up. But I can understand from a parental point of view, if something really is, there's something questionable things going on in the foster care home, I can understand how you would be upset. But again, there's no clarity on why does he not have custody of the kids to begin with? What occurred that put these kids in foster care in the first place? That's what I would like some information. Like, why were the kids put in foster care? You seem overly concerned with getting your kids back, kidnapping them from school, having somebody break in. If this is what occurred, he's in connection to it. So I don't know. We'll just say allegedly, even though he's been arrested, until more details come out. Allegedly, he's connected to the kidnapping of his kids. It's the charges that are filed until more details come out. But I just don't understand. Was this energy there before the kids were put in foster care? Was there energy there to try to keep your kids from going to foster care? I just don't understand, you guys. But again, at least this ended on a positive note. These 2 angels were returned home safe and sound. Okay, I'm sure they probably have to put them in some type of counseling, because I'm sure that was pretty traumatic experience. That hasn't been pretty traumatic. And then we don't know kind of what occurred during the course of that 2 days that they were traveling or on the road or whatever. So, you guys, but hey, these are a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old siblings. They were found safe. That's my whole thing. They're alive. They're safe. They're good. And then we just keep praying that Orrin and Orson West are found safe some kind of way. Okay, you guys. So again, thank you so much for checking out What's the 504. I am Christy B. And if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and hit the thumbs up for your girl. It helps the videos get out there, and it's a whole algorithm thing. You know how it goes. Okay, and subscribe to the channel if you look forward to more videos, you guys. Okay, and hit the notifications bell. And I will be back with another video soon. Okay, smooches.